This is an experiment conducted by American psychologist John B. Watson along with his student Rosalie Rayner at Johns Hopkins University. The experiment was designed primarily to determine whether fear is a natural response or if it can be learned and acquired through experience. Before beginning the experiment, they conducted a series of emotional tests on their subject, an 8-month-old baby named Albert. Albert was exposed to various objects and situations he had never encountered before, such as a white rat, a rabbit, burning paper, a wig, a mask, and more. The aim was to examine whether Albert had an unconditional, natural, response to these stimuli. As a result, Albert did not show fear towards any of these objects, he simply smiled at everything. After this initial test, Albert was taken to an empty room, containing only a mattress on which he sat. Watson and his assistant, Rayner, then left the room, leaving Albert alone. They introduced a white laboratory rat into the room with Albert. Surprisingly, Albert did not fear the rat. Instead, he showed the opposite reaction by loving and trying to play with it, laughing in delight. Now, they were ready to proceed to the next stage. Every time Albert touched the rat, they would make loud, disturbing noises by striking two metal bars together. Upon hearing the loud noises, little Albert began to cry. As the room fell silent again, Albert resumed playing with the rat, only to be exposed to the same loud noise when he touched it again. His crying subsided, but his attention turned back to the rat, and he began to fear touching it due to the consistent noise. This experiment continued for several days and was repeated with other furry objects like a rabbit. The outcome was clear: Albert developed a fear, especially towards white, furry objects, even when the loud noises were no longer associated with them. To push the experiment further, Watson and Rayner even wore white, furry costumes and entered the room. The sight of these increasingly large furry objects intensified Albert's fear, leaving a lasting impression on his memory. This experiment conducted in the 1920s provided evidence for conditioned fear. However, it sparked significant controversy because they did not reverse the conditioning applied to the 8-month-old baby or provide any form of rehabilitation. It remains unknown how effectively they could have erased the deep and dark imprints of the past on Albert's mental well-being. There are various accounts of what happened to little Albert after the experiment. According to writer Tom Bartlett, little Albert's mother, Arvilla Marit, worked as a wet nurse in the same hospital. Due to her lower social status at the time, she could not refuse the offer to have her baby participate in the experiment due to financial constraints. According to the book Finding Little Albert, Albert's mother was unaware of the experiments, and when she discovered them, she took her child and disappeared.